So we have these very distinctive sort of four central narrative moments, I think, in this particular scene, where we have, first of all, a clear sense of the contrast between Macbeth's guilt and Lady Macbeth's interest in the details, the practical details of the murder. Then we see Macbeth's concerns about ever being able to escape guilt. And then finally, we have thirdly, we have Lady Macbeth's attempt to take control of the situation. And then we're left with Macbeth's kind of final haunting image of violence proliferating, kind of developing and almost exploding out of control. And so what you see constantly here is, I think, quite a static mental state from Macbeth, and then a very active, forceful mental state on Lady Macbeth's part throughout this dialogue. And the interesting feature of this dialogue, I think, is that there isn't really a genuine communication between the two characters. They are both sort of talking at cross purposes in this extract. Macbeth is occupied with the trauma and the guilt, and Lady Macbeth is very forcefully occupied with attempting to persuade him that he's done the right thing and that they should think about the atrocity differently. But really, there's no emotional response from one to the other. They are singularly focused on the occupations of their own mind and don't really respond very clearly to each other. So what we see is the first section ending here at consider it not so deeply. This is Macbeth's guilt and Lady Macbeth's interest in the details. And then the second section where Macbeth says, "But wherefore could I not pronounce amen?" And then Lady Macbeth attempts to argue with him. This runs, I think, all the way down to Macbeth shall sleep no more, line 46. Therefore Corder shall sleep no more, Macbeth shall sleep no more. Lady Macbeth then takes issue with this and tries to take control of the situation. Who was it that thus cried, "Why, worthy thing, you do unbend your noble strength," all the way down to line 64, "It must seem their guilt." And then Macbeth's final image is this terrifying one of him attempting to wash his hands, and his hands being so bloody that it actually turns the sea red rather than cleans his hands. And so what we see is that failure to respond to Lady Macbeth's attempt to control the situation in that final speech act from Macbeth in the dialogue.